At 23 minutes past 1 in the morning, on the 26th of April, 1986, a single push of a button, meant to make a reactor safer, tore it apart. This is the story of the worst nuclear disaster in history, and how close the world came to catastrophe. It happened in northern Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union, beside a brand new city called Pripyat. 50,000 people lived there, most of them young families who worked at the plant. It was a model Soviet town, built on the promise of the atom. The plant's reactors were RBMK-1000s, enormous, powerful, and cheap. But they carried two hidden flaws. They grew more reactive as they overheated. And their emergency shutdown rods were tipped with graphite, which, for a few critical seconds, would speed the reaction up before slowing it down. On the night of April 25, engineers began a safety test on Reactor 4 to prove that a dying turbine could power the cooling pumps during a blackout. To run it, they switched off safety systems and withdrew almost all of the control rods. The reactor was now balanced on a knife's edge. Then the power collapsed, far lower than the test allowed. The reactor was poisoning itself. Procedure demanded a shutdown. Instead, the order came down from the deputy chief engineer: bring it back up. Push through. At 23 minutes past 1, they began the test. Within seconds, the reactor's power started to climb, faster and faster, racing past anything it was ever built to survive. The operator reached for AZ-5, the emergency shutdown. The control rods began to fall. And their graphite tips did exactly the wrong thing: they spiked the reaction one final, fatal time. At 1:23 and 44 seconds, Reactor 4 destroyed itself. A steam explosion blew the 1,000-ton lid clean off the core. Seconds later, a second, larger blast ripped the building open to the sky. Where the reactor core had been, there was now an open, burning pit, glowing an eerie blue into the darkness. Chunks of radioactive graphite, each one lethal, lay scattered and smoking across the rooftops. In the control room, the men could not accept what had happened. "The reactor is intact," their supervisor insisted. The dosimeters read 3.6 Roentgen, but only because their needles were pinned at the maximum. The true level was hundreds of times higher. The first firefighters arrived within minutes, young men in cloth jackets and leather helmets, with no protection and no warning of what they truly faced. They fought the flames beside glowing graphite, some already tasting metal, their skin reddening like a deep sunburn. 3 kilometers away, Pripyat slept. In the morning, life carried on: laundry on the balconies, children riding bikes, beneath an invisible, drifting cloud of radiation. The town's brand new amusement park was set to open in just 5 days. For 36 hours, the Soviet state said almost nothing. Then, at last, more than 1,000 buses rolled into Pripyat. Residents were told to pack for 3 days. They locked their doors, left food on their tables, and drove away. Almost none of them ever returned. What came next was one of the largest mobilizations in history. 600,000 liquidators, soldiers, miners, and workers were sent in to contain it. On the most radioactive rooftop on Earth, men could work only 90 seconds at a time, clearing debris by hand where even robots had failed. Within months, they buried the ruined reactor inside a vast tomb of concrete and steel, the sarcophagus, built in a desperate race against the radiation, meant to hold the poison back for a generation. 31 people died in the days that followed. The longer shadow, the cancers, the dead zone, the ghost city frozen in 1986, stretches on to this day. Chernobyl did not just melt a reactor. It cracked the confidence of a superpower. 5 years later, the Soviet Union was gone, and some say it never recovered from the night Reactor 4 died.